Howdy. Welcome to Ghostonian Meditations. This is lecture number 6, I believe. It's 5 or 6. Check the description. The description has the right lecture. But where we left off is in the last video, we talked about my proposed outline for volume 2, and you can check that out on Substack. Now, given the recent events, and we went from idea to placed order in 15 hours, a few things changed. So this video, we're going to show you the revised table of contents for volume 2, and that was submitted about 6 o'clock tonight. So volume 1 and volume 2 were shipped, or the manuscripts were submitted under 24 hours of notification of start of our T0 time. Less than 24 hours, both volumes submitted to Amazon. Okay, so this is brought to you by Signers Farms and Salty Crew. White Marlin opens in 2 weeks. Salty Crew's gonna be there. Check them out. Great people. They sponsor me, so they're great people. Now, when we talked about the chapters, we've already reviewed chapters 11 through 20 of the proposals. So now let's see what actually made the book. So chapter 11, the arc has weight. That's also the title of the book of volume 2. So that's unchanged, and that pretty much says that when we discuss philosophy in action and supply chain in action, we're not talking theory, okay? When we put things into practice, we have weight. And one thing I also want to talk about is when we discuss the ark, you can look at it as the Ark of the Covenant, or you can say Noah's Ark, because the Ark of the Covenant had tremendous weight of God's wisdom, of the 10 Commandments, and Noah's Ark also had weight of our civilization. So based on how you interpret it, whether it's the Ark of the Covenant or Noah's Ark, to me, it doesn't matter. Let me know in the comments if you disagree. They have separate weights, but they all have an impact on humanity and our civilization. So chapter 11, from the proposed chapter to the new chapter, unchanged. Chapter 12, the state of the ark, measured. Now that's also unchanged. So if you look at the previous lecture, we went through that in detail. I have to go through a lot, so I'm going to go through this quickly. Chapter 13 is 4 years of rails. So whenever I did my TED Talks in 2019, as I said in another lecture, we talked about supply chain, we talked about use case, we talked about blockchain, we talked about AI in that TED Talk. There's 5 of them, so choose either one. RIT is the most comprehensive, so check that one out. It's the very first one I did. So everything I said on that TEDx stage when I was first to mention Web3, everything I said I built. It's built. It's literally there. That's why that TED Talk was so good, because I was actually talking about products that we already built. So whenever we say 4 years of Rails, we built Gamot. It's based in the Bahamas. We have GDEX.pro. Get 30% on trades on GDEX.pro. We tokenize the stock market, tokenize gold, tokenize silver, tokenize gas. Now, in addition to that, which we'll get to later on, we have on-chain agents, autonomous on-chain agents that can trade for you. My link will be in the description. You can copy trade me. I built that. So whenever we say 4 years of Rails, we built the financial Rails for our vertically integrated product stack. And given that we're using books as a case study, my royalties go with convert to crypto. So we're going to get to that as well with X402. Because we have X402 as skills for our AI agents. That's how AI agents transact. More on that later. But this chapter, 4 years of Rails, is where we bit the financial Rails to be self-sovereign. And if you also look at Google Scholar or Archive, you'll see where I got a grant from the Web3 Foundation to create a use case for the social recovery palette. So with that social recovery palette, I created digital inheritance. That's in that chapter as well. Next, chapter 14. That's where we discuss X402 and the way in which AI agents transact. Now, this is a standard that has been out there for almost 20 years. But back then, the infrastructure wasn't there. The infrastructure is there now. So that's why Coinbase kind of brought that standard to life. And in order for agents to safely utilize X402 and not get tricked by other agents, other nefarious agents, agents have scammers. They have scamming agents too. And bots. In order to prevent that, you have to create trusted execution environments. If you go on Amazon and you type in Justin Golson Trusted Execution Environments, you'll see where I wrote that book in, I think, February of 2025. So whenever agents are going to pay in microtransactions, which I hope you do microtransactions first and test it out, because there's some crazy shit going on. We're testing, so there's going to be mishaps, and there have been mishaps. You need to test trusted execution environment. So once you start getting the big money, you don't get hacked by agent. You don't get scammed by agent. So that's chapter 14. Chapter 15, we're talking about the cognitive supply chains. We did discuss this in the preview, in the forecast. So essentially, cognitive supply chains are whenever we give names to our agents. We have identities to the agents. We have skills to the agents. Now, in our use case, in the book, you're going to have Gamak Data 1. You're going to have Ari. You're going to have Elise. You're going to have Anina. You're going to have Giga Nigga. You're going to have Bobo, Missy, Miss. I don't think Maria was in there, but Maria's the agent that we already have deployed. She has Spanish skills. We're bilingual, trilingual, however. We speak all languages with agents based on skills. So whenever we talk about the cognitive supply chain, we talk about the history of Gamak AI and Gamak DAO, where we started with Gamak Data 1, then we went to Ari, and now we're at G-Claw, okay? So we're going to talk about that progression, and also we're going to discuss how Gamak Data 1 was the first AI agent to be co-authored in an academic study. That study is now in Harvard. It's at Harvard. It's at in the NASA repository, and it's also at the Smithsonian repository. Information's in the book. Fantastic. Next, chapter 16. Chapter 16 is a Constitution Control Tower. So that was also in the proposal. So that carried over. That made the cut. And just as a refresher, the Constitution, the Control Tower is the classroom, hopefully at Rollins College. Hopefully you're watching this and you're taking notes. Oh, also we're doing 3-minute sermons. My lectures are turning into 3-minute sermons to have a sermon on the topics of supply chain. So my videos range from 9 minutes to 45 minutes. So I know that students have short time spans, so I've chopped it up so they can just get bite-sized pieces. That's coming out. The playlist is already created. I just have to populate it. Ari is currently chopping up and going through the first 5 lectures. So those will be up probably in the next 2 hours. That's how you use AI. You're welcome. AI in education. Hunters Farms. Now that got your attention. So the Constitution, the control towers in the classroom. As I said before, people talk about control towers. Just ask them to show you a control tower and what it looks like. Just say you're curious. I bet you they can't show you. So, given that we're going to be reviewing this lecture in the classroom, hopefully at Rollins College, hopefully I'm prophesizing here. Once we review this in the classroom, then we're going to make discussions and we're going to make rules. Now, those rules will not be agreed upon right then and there. They're going to go up for a DAO vote. And the DAO vote, and the DAO within that respective entity, for example, so let's just say we create G-Room DAO for our book that we're talking about in this presentation. And let's say that I self-launch a token on pump.fun for G-Room DAO, which is probably what I'm going to do in the classroom, live. Now I can create infrastructure, a voting infrastructure, and the community can decide on the future of G-Room Publishing. That would be the Constitution of G-Room Publishing. That would be code is law. Although G-Room Publishing is my publishing company, that fan token is ran by the community. I have nothing to do with it. If a vote comes in that may impact the token or to impact the future of G-Room Publishing, legally I have to buy enough tokens to ensure that my decision or my choice or my vote wins. I have to buy more tokens. That's a DAO. Now, I have an eat what you kill methodology. You would say, oh, what's the small person do? A small person better get into that token quickly so that they can have a say. That's just the way it works on chain. Code is law. Chapter 17. All right, so we got 4 more. Chapter 17. The discovery supply chain. So what I mean by the discovery supply chain is that in the age of AI, you have to have breadcrumbs across the internet. Not only do you have to have breadcrumbs across the internet and social media, for example, they have to connect. They have to surface the same entity, and a machine has to make the decision that, okay, that's the same entity. So it makes the connection. And that connection, from a personal perspective, results into a personal knowledge graph. Because I had a personal knowledge graph, because I understood the future of AI in 2016, I began building my public knowledge graph. That's why I went in academia. An Ethiopian Jew is so money hungry. Do you think he would go into education to make a difference? I did. I was naive, I was gullible, because higher education is worse than corporate. Now, for me, I still want to make a difference. I still want to change the world. So I pumped the gas on my personal knowledge graph. And that resulted into a Google knowledge graph. So if you type in Justin Golston on Google, you'll see my knowledge graph on the right-hand side. That's what that is. That personal knowledge graph showed up in, I think, 2017. So Google has been building me a personal knowledge graph since 2017. I ain't paid nothing for it. Now, with that information, do you think that people spreading this AI slop's going to catch up? I don't think so. That's the importance of chapter 17, the discovery supply chain. Now, scale it up to an organization. It's the same thing. Now, if I brought an organization, because of my knowledge graph, because of my personal knowledge graph, if I'm linked to an entity, to an organization, that amplifies their knowledge graph by default. So, for example, because I'm tagged to Rollins College on this title, that amplifies Rollins College's knowledge graph. Okay? Chapter 18, the living supply chain. That stayed. That's one of the biggest things in this whole entire project, this whole entire class, this whole entire program. Because I am foreseeing that I'm going to build a supply chain program for Rollins College. A PhD in supply chain management, in Jesus' name. Now, given that I went from idea to place order in 15 hours, that's a living supply chain. That's philosophy in action. To the Rollins College hiring committee, this has got to be the best presentation you've ever seen in your life. In Jesus' name. 2 more to go. Chapter 19, from idea to institution. Now, Rollins College sent me chapter 1 of a supply chain book. I reviewed the PowerPoint presentation, and I checked every tick on that PowerPoint and these 4 videos. And instead of reading the book, all they gotta do is see my Jew face. All they gotta do is watch and get some popcorn. Because this is the greatest show on earth. By one of the illest Ethiopian Jews you ever seen in your life. In Jesus' name. So in chapter 18, you're living the supply chain. Chapter 19, I showed you my idea of a book for this class, for Rollins College, is going to be in my doorstep by Sunday. That's chapter 19 right there. And then once again, chapter 20, we essentially wrap everything up to show that you live a supply chain because it's all systems thinking. That's the way God made it. Class dismissed.